Good Monday morning, everybody. It is July 12th, and it looks like it's going to be a sunny day today. Praise God. And thank God for the rain we got over the weekend. We much needed that, and it has made a big difference in the way the world looks and people's attitudes as well. So praise God for that. Today we are going to finish chapter 26. We're going to look at verses 24 to 32 in chapter 26 of Acts. I didn't say Acts up front, did I? Should have. Acts. We're in the book of Acts. So let's just jump right in to 24 to 32, and then we'll go from there. While he was making this defense, Festus exclaimed, "You are out of your mind, Paul. Too much learning is driving you insane." But Paul said, "I am not out of my mind, most excellent Festus, but I am speaking the sober truth. Indeed, the king knows about these things, and to him I speak freely. For I am certain that none of these things has escaped his notice, for this was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you believe." Agrippa said to Paul, "Are you so quickly persuading me to become a Christian?" Paul replied, "Whether quickly or not, I pray to God that not only you, but also all who are listening to me today might become such as I am, except for these chains." Then the king got up, and with him the governor and Bernice and those who had been seated with them, and as they were leaving, they said to one another, "This man is doing nothing to deserve death or imprisonment." Agrippa said to Festus, "This man could have been set free if he had not appealed to the emperor." Which makes one wonder, can't he say, "Hey, I changed my mind about that going to see the Roman emperor. Can you just let me out of here now?" Excuse me. But Paul seems not to be concerned about this. Whatever comes will come. I think in Paul's mind, God's will be done. Here, remember, he's appearing before Agrippa and Bernice and Festus and all these hierarchy people in the community, and he just had finished before Festus opens up and says, "Are you crazy?" Sometimes it's translated as crazy. Are you out of your mind? Are you beside yourself? These are all different ways that this is translated, meaning he's insane is what it's saying. Because he's just got done telling them about his conversion story, the road to Damascus story, and how he saw this vision and heard this voice and all of that. And so Festus, of course, is like, "Come on, man, you're crazy, you're insane. What do you expect me to believe that?" We need to also remember, though, that there was this idea in the ancient world. Now, we oftentimes say genius is close to insanity, right? That's a saying that we say fairly regularly. I'm not sure if you've heard that before, but it's one I've used before. Genius is close to insanity. I've actually known a lot of people that were very intelligent, that were borderline over the top, being crazy. And had some real issues in that regard. But in the ancient world, someone that was insane was thought to be closer to God or favored by God. So that him saying that is, we take as an insult. Did he really mean it as an insult? But too much learning is driving you insane. Sometimes we spend a little too much time in book learning and not enough in real world learning. That there's that too. But here Festus just can't swallow that pill. This idea of seeing this vision, which is kind of interesting because again, in that day and age, there were lots of stories about visions and whatnot. But Paul turns it from Festus, who interrupted him. He's like, "I'm telling you the sober truth. Indeed, Agrippa over here, King Agrippa, knows about these things. Jesus didn't do his work in a corner when Jesus wasn't killed in Jerusalem without some fanfare. It wasn't done quietly. He was paraded through the town. So he was put up as an example so that people wouldn't do that again. The idea was to try to quench these messianic movements, not to necessarily keep it quiet." So King Agrippa certainly knows about this. He's heard about this. And he is Jewish, remember. He and his sister, who he's living with, we won't go into that again, they are Jewish. They are descendants of King Herod the Great. And so, though they are very Romanized. So he turns to him, and the interesting thing is when you read Agrippa's response to him, depending on what translation you read that in, and it can sound more like he's being persuaded, or like, oh, come on, now, I'm not being persuaded. I think when you read it in, the Young's literal translation, it comes across to me more like he is feeling somewhat persuaded. Like, Paul, are you so quickly making me a Jew, making me a convert to Christianity? So quickly you're doing this. That's interesting. And I'm like, come on, you can't. I can't. I'm not going to come over there that quickly. It's more the latter rather than the former. So it's more that he is like, so quickly you are convincing me. So it is an interesting statement. It's a little, I think, unclear in the Greek which way it is. So we probably have an inclination, we have a bias, and we probably apply our own bias as always in most things. But Paul's response is interesting. Paul's there in chains. He's been in prison for all this time. In some ways, he's been protected from the Jewish folks, but he's been in prison all this time. But his response to him is not one of, you could let me out of here and all of that, or what have you. It's no, whether quickly or not, I pray to God that not only you, but also all who are listening to me today might become such as I am, except for these chains, except for being bound, that you might know the peace that you can have in the middle of all this, in the middle of being imprisoned, in the middle of all of that, the peace that you can have in that time. Paul prays that you might have that. He prays that they may have that, but he also prays that we may have that yet this day. It's an extension on to all of us. So that's a really telling message. The peace he has in this period of time, appearing before all of these dignitaries, just at a whim of just at their whim, they could say, just go cut his head off, be done with it. He's troubled me enough. But yet he's there confident and knowing that he's doing God's work. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Tomorrow I will not. Whoa, the lights just blinked. I wonder what's going on. Tomorrow I will not be doing the devotion. I'm going to have Clint do the devotion. So there won't be one put up on YouTube tomorrow, because Clint will just do his little devotion out of his book. I have some appointments in the morning that I've got to go attend to, so I won't be here in the morning. So with that, I hope you have a blessed day today and a blessed day tomorrow, and we'll be back to jump into chapter 27 on Wednesday morning. All right. God bless, and we'll see you then. Take care, and be a blessing to someone today. Until then, bye-bye.